Hey y'all, it's getting closer to fall, and that means that it is time to start making soup. In this video, we're going to be making corn chowder, but we're also going to be giving you some hints that you can use for any soup recipe so that you are going to be able to make any recipe just a little bit better, and so that you're going to have some tools that you can use to just pump up your game a little bit and make things so that you don't have to make stuff every single night. So here we go. For this recipe, here are your ingredients. You're going to need about 2 pounds of frozen corn, or you can use fresh corn if you've been to farmers markets. You want 2 to 3 pounds of cubed red potatoes, 1 pound of smoked sausage, 24 ounces of frozen peppers and onions. It's usually sold as a fajita blend. 2 onions, 64 ounces of chicken broth, 1.5 to 2 cups of half and half, 4 tablespoons of butter, some chicken bouillon, some salt, pepper, and Greek seasoning. Now here's the thing. This is what I used in this video, but all of these amounts can be adjusted to whatever you want. If you want to put chicken in here, go for it. If you want to use bacon instead of the butter, go for it. All of these things can be switched up. The vegetables, the meat, any of these things. This is just plug and play. So first thing you're going to do is chop your onion into a dice. If you need some help with your knife skills and you need to know how to cut up an onion, check out our pico de gallo video. It shows you all sorts of things on how to cut up vegetables so that you will be safe, and gives you some hints. So then you're going to take a pretty large stock pot and you're going to melt some butter in that stock pot. And for the amount of aromatics, and that's going to be your onions and your peppers that we're going to be putting in here, it's going to take about 4 tablespoons of butter to really get all of that coated. So you're going to add your onions and some salt and pepper and Greek seasoning, and we're going to be seasoning this throughout just to make sure that there's lots of flavor in here, because nobody wants a bland soup. And if you don't like Greek seasoning, you can use whatever seasoning blend that you want. And you're going to be stirring this every couple of minutes while you're prepping the other ingredients. You could cut everything up to start with and then start adding things into the pot. But if you did that, you would be wasting a little bit of time. And so if you just chop things and add them in as you are chopping, it's going to save you some time. So while those onions are sauteing, we're going to be cutting some smoked sausage into cubes by cutting them into 1/4 lengthwise and then cutting those into cubes. You don't want to have them in rounds, and you don't want to have them in too big of pieces, because this is a soup and you want to be able to get a little bit of each thing in every bite. So you do want these pieces to be pretty small. After cutting the first half, don't forget you got some onions on the stove, so pop back over to that stove and stir those onions a little bit. So this is an optional step, but if you are getting the fajita vegetables, usually those are cut into strips. So I usually run my knife through it a few times just to chop those up into little pieces so that they are a little bit smaller and that they will fit on a spoon nicely, so you don't have stuff hanging off of your spoon. And you also can just pop them apart with the spoon as you're stirring them around. But then you're going to add that fajita mix to the stock pot and stir it around occasionally while you are cutting your potatoes. And this is going to take a good bit of time to cook down, and you can crank that heat up on this as well. So now you're going to cut your potatoes. So first of all, you're going to cut them vertically 3 to 4 times, and this is what that would look like on the side view. Be careful, because this is going to roll, and kind of hold your hand over top of it. Then you're going to take one of those sections off and set that potato on the side and cut straight down to make some cuts that way. And it's going to be looking this way to begin with. And so then you're going to cut straight down to make a grid pattern or a crisscross pattern. And so that way, if you were to look at it from the side, this is what it would look like. And that having that flat side is going to make it a lot safer. That first round of cuts is going to be a little squirrely, but then you'll be okay. So then this is the top view that we're looking at now with your little diagram. You're going to cut straight down to cut these into cubes. And that will mean that you've got the right size. And you're going to base the number of cuts that you make on the size of the potato, because you want these all to be about the same size so they cook evenly. We are not adding any thickener in this soup because we have the potatoes, and potatoes are going to thicken it. If you are making any type of soup, like a cream soup or something, you could add some flour in with the onions and peppers and this mixture so that would thicken the soup later. So if you were making like a broccoli and cheese soup, throw some flour in at this stage and that would thicken it up. So then you're going to add your sausage in and let that brown a little bit after your onions and peppers are cooked down. And we are browning this and not just throwing it in the pot all at once, because adding this browning at this stage is going to be adding flavor. Once you add the water in, you can't get that flavor back. So we always brown in the beginning so that we can get as much flavor packed into the soup as possible, because browning is flavor. So we are going to season some more, adding some salt, pepper, and Greek seasoning. This is going to let these flavors release and let the oils release before we add the water in, because if you're just adding the seasoning into the water, it just doesn't release the flavors quite as well. And then we are going to add the corn and potatoes, and this is kind of the bulk and the base of this soup. It's what's going to make it taste a little bit heartier and just be a heartier and thicker soup. Then you are going to add your chicken broth. If you have homemade chicken broth, that's great. If you don't, then regular store-bought broth is fine. If you do not have store-bought broth, you can use chicken bouillon and water or vegetable broth. And we are adding chicken bouillon to this as well. I never just add store-bought broth. I always add some chicken bouillon to it or some chicken base, just to add a little bit of a flavor punch to it. So then you are going to stir that all together, turn it to high, and bring it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you are going to turn that down to a simmer and let that simmer for 20 to 30 minutes. So now we have it at a boil, and we are turning it down to a simmer and setting your timer for 20 to 30 minutes. We do not want to overcook this because we don't want to obliterate those potatoes. So after the 20 or 30 minutes, you are going to pull out a potato with your spoon, and you're going to poke it with the fork. And if that fork slides in there easily, then you know that it is done. So this is pretty standard for any soup that has potatoes in it. This is a corn chowder, so corn chowders, or any chowder, the potatoes are kind of the key for making sure that everything is done. So that fork is sliding in there nicely, so we are good to go. I always check a couple of potatoes just to make sure. So then we are going to add the half and half in there, and this is going to add a little bit of creaminess to the soup. And for this, you can adjust how much you add in based on how creamy you want your soup to be. You do not want to cook it too long after you've added the half and half, because the half and half will curdle. Any milk products, if they're heated up too much, will tend to separate and get chunky. So one thing that I love about making soups is you can make a whole lot of them at one time. And then I love these soup cubes. They come in 1 and 2 cup amounts. And then you add them into soup, add them into little ice cube trays and freeze them. And then once they are frozen, pop them out of the trays, and you can put them into an airtight container or a zip top bag and just pull out, if you're for one person, maybe 2 cubes that are 1 cup. If it's for 2 people, 4. But it's a great way to have leftovers without really having to worry about it. And then you just heat them up when you're ready. I generally heat them up on the stove and add just a little bit of water in the bottom of the pot to warm it up. Or you can add a little bit of chicken stock if you have some in the fridge. And you could also do it in the microwave if you don't really want to worry about having things on the stove. But this is a great meal that is super easy, and you can make a whole lot of it at one time, freeze the rest of it for later. It sticks to your ribs. It's a great fall recipe. It's a great winter recipe. And if you have one of those bring your own soup type of things at work, it goes great in a crock pot. So I hope this is something that you're able to try. Let us know in the comments if you decide to try it, what adaptations you decide to make. We will see you next time. Also, this is a reminder that we have our 2 membership levels. We have our 20 quart and 5 quart levels, and we would love to have you join. If you are unable to join at our membership levels, an absolutely free way you can support our channel is to click that subscribe button. Subscribing doesn't cost you a thing, but it just lets us know that you want to see your videos. And we are getting closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and we're also getting close to the watch hours that we need to be monetized. So definitely hit the subscribe button, keep on watching our videos, and we will see you next week.